I will be presenting around the Cybersecurity Risks Associated with Home Office. I think we all know most of them, but we don't talk about it enough. So I won't be giving, let's say, at the contrary of the people who went there before, like really firm solution. For me, there is no firm solution. It's always depend on your problem, on your system, on your enterprise. So I would rather give an example of best practices or approach to do something, but I have no firm solution for you today, unfortunately. So a little bit about me. I have a very atypical experience. I'm a military, the background. I'm a colonel. I got my training at the Royal Military Academy of Brussels. And after that, I work with the Belgian Army and the US Army. And then I work a little bit with the United Nations as an IT security manager at the New York headquarters. And then I decided to come here in Germany to do a PhD in cybersecurity. And this is where I've been living since 2018. And all in all, I would say that I have experience in industrial cybersecurity. I am auditor for energy system, wind system. I audit and inspect nuclear power plants for cybersecurity and physical cybersecurity. And currently, I'm working with ICANN as a counselor. So everybody knows ICANN, as he said earlier. And our job at ICANN is to make sure that the whole internet that we are using is secure, is resilient, and is stable. So, but today I'm not talking on behalf of ICANN. So every opinion that I will be expressing are purely mine. And if you have any question regarding ICANN, we can of course discuss it. But none of the solutions that I will be talking about are ICANN solution or ICANN recommendation. So one question to everybody: who thinks that remote office or remote work is new? Or if you don't think it's new, how long do you think working from home or remote working existed? 10, 20, 30? Yeah? I would say more, I think. I would say more. So since the advent of internet, there have always been people working outside of office. There always been people working out of office. And most of the solution, like people were using dial-up connection from home, specialized modem or whatever. And I will go forward and come back. So, but the thing is, it was a slower pace. It was not in every contract or for every employee that immediately when you join a job, you can work from office. No, it depends. Maybe you are on travel. Maybe you are a consultant working from somewhere. Maybe you are at a C level. Then it understood that from time to time you might not be at office working, but it was not the de facto solution for everybody in the company. But it does exist. And it also exists only in specific industry. It's not every industry that can afford or that can have employers who can use home office. And as I said, they usually use like dedicated VPN application, like they will give you a modem or an appliance that you use at home to connect, or they will give you a special phone or whatever. But if you want to work remotely, there are conditions on that. It was based really on specific conditions. But today, the thing is, there is a shift in many different aspects of how we use technology and how we work. The first thing who came out is the high-speed internet that is available. That makes people now not only making call or trying to work from home, but also accessing file, sharing file, and sending information from around the world. And that is one of the first game changer, because now we connect with partners, and those partners are somehow seen also as remote workers. And advancement in mobile devices, and now with cloud-based solution. That means many companies now allow their employee to work with Google Doc, Microsoft Azure, or whatever, but at least you have your email, you work on your computer or a device provided by your company, and then you send it back. But the device you work on, no one trusts the device. What has happened on the device, no one knows. And you send the file to the company, then it go inside the network, it can be used, and we don't know how it will check, because if you establish a VPN but you work from a device that is yours and you send a hacked file to your network, it's the same problem like a company having a firewall but establishing a VPN through. So if the VPN is established, the firewall cannot control inside, so anything that goes through the firewall can use to harm any computer within the network. And worse, now we allow user to use their own mobile device, not only at home or outside work, but also inside company. And that complexifies completely how we need to address security. So if I have to give a very simple aspect of the situation, it's we have our company, we secure everything, we put firewall, we put all security measure in place, camera, data center, redundancy, everything, and then all employees went home and then work from there. And the company is left without employees. So this is the current situation most of the time. And what happened? The thing that happened is COVID. So before we have people working remotely, 20 or 30 years ago, it was just like 1% or 2%. Then with advancement of technology, 20%, maybe 30, but not often and not the standard. But now with COVID, it has become the standard. There are many surveys who show that whenever a new employee is looking for a job, especially IT people, when it's not home office, most people will not sign the contract, like almost 40 to 50%. That means now there is a shift in how we work and how we need to address things. Okay. It's here. Sorry. So this, of course, introduced a new challenge for our cybersecurity architecture and policies as well, because all we have designed before was with the intention that people will work from office. And even if people have to work outside of the office, there were just a few, and it was dealt with case by case. But now, by default, people who join the company start working from their home environment or remotely from anywhere in the world. So I need to point out that remote work itself, it's not unsecure, but it's the attack surface that we are having now, which is much broader than before, because you will be having connection from US, from China, from Africa, from anywhere in the world. They might not be illegitimate, but now it requires you more technique to verify that they are legitimate. So this is the device here. I don't know.
It's only for the time period.
Okay, because, okay, trying to sign in, okay. So let's describe a little bit some of the risks that I think are associated with home office. They are not only limited to home office, but they are emphasized when people work from outside the company. The first thing is insecure network, because it's not your network, it's outside your company. Whenever you can give any kind of sophisticated devices to a user, as long as this user is outside your network, this network is unsecure for you, because the connection will be coming from there. You don't know if this connection has been hijacked before, or you cannot even be sure that it's the user itself working on that computer, because you assume so, but it might not be true. And a user working from a home, so how secure is this Wi-Fi? I think, for instance, I check a little bit for most of the company here in Germany, at least O2, that I know they will give you a router at home with a password on it. It's long, but it never changes, or many people never change it. 85% of people never change it. It's been manufactured from the manufacturing center, shipped, and user use it for the whole life. And then I start a new job, I have a computer, I come home, I connect to this network to my company. So you see the problem. a neighbor can hack this network, hack my computer, and do anything it can do with my computer without my company noticing what is happening. The second thing with that is the people at home also have very limited knowledge about how to secure the network. At work, it's easy because when you have your phone or your computer or whatever, you get a certificate, you have many measures in place that ensure that the connection, at least from your computer to the corporate entity, are secure, but no more when it's come from home. The device might not also up to date. So when you give user company devices, it's of course less risk. But when you allow the user to work with a home computer, then there might be issue associated with it because they own their computer and you have less control on it. They might not be up to date, and you can think about everything that can go wrong. You are all security experts here. I will not go into that detail, but that emphasizes the fact that, as a presentation said earlier, human risk is the most important thing. And we are putting, I think, too much effort or too much effort on this technical solution, but very few on training the users, because most of the error happen because of the user. The user do not have the right behavior. And if you just secure, you put like 80% of your money, cybersecurity money, in securing the enterprise IT, but then 50% of the user work from home and you have nothing left for that. This is a huge problem that I'm seeing, especially when phishing attacks are the most preponderant kind of attack after social engineering. Next, we are having now at home also home IoT device. That means, of course, we have the internet connection, but there are many other devices. And the thing is, there are two kinds of problems here. You see, I personally see that privacy issue due to this connection, but also Cisco has shown that even if you can have a very secure network, like the connection, everything is secure, you might have IoT devices who are usually not checked by firewall for the connection that establishes, and then hacker can just hack an IoT device because they can see on the internet, like on showdown.io or whatever, what are the weaknesses of this IoT device, hack this IoT device. It might be a bubble, it might be a thermostat or whatever. Once they look into this device that has nothing to do with the IT, then they will pivot on your work computer, and from there they can do anything to your company. And this is also very critical when people work from home. You don't know how the environment are, and you trust them to take your work computer home and then work from home. Of course, we all know that they lack of physical security. At home, you don't put gate, you don't put anything. What can happen? It happened that friends are at home, family are at home, neighbor are hearing your Teams call. Everything the person is saying for the company, who might not normally be secret, actually goes around. And you have no way, or I don't know how many companies visit their company's home to check how secure the environment is. But this is something either to take care about by properly technical measure or by policy and training, because the user themselves, they don't think about it. 80% of the users are not IT guys, so by default they will not be thinking about what can go wrong IT wise. They just use the system. And if I am at home, I'm working on my computer, and a friend comes, maybe the friend is not well intentioned and sees my computer when I go to the toilet, I don't lock my screen or whatever, what can happen? And people now can take the computer, work from a restaurant, work from airport, or work in the airplane. Someone is sitting beside. How do you address this? I see very few companies dealing with that. But this is serious because you put so much money in talking about information disclosure, confidentiality, everything, and people just take their computer and walking in the plane just beside a competitor. They have established a VPN. The VPN serves no purpose because what you are trying to avoid is just happening right there. Everything is okay. You will never notice that there was a leak of information, but there was a leak of information. But if this user has been trained properly, they are aware that they shouldn't be doing. Their behavior might impact or might, lead to company losses, and people need to be trained on that properly. So I will not talk about data backup recovery. Someone discussed ransomware earlier, but I think as part of this, people should have critical backup system in place when users are working from home or from a device that are not their corporate IT devices. You need to have a backup system in place, and most of the time they are lacking, because if I'm not connected to the company and I'm working on a computer, then when someone ransomware my computer, then I lose all the data, what might not necessarily be the case if I have been working from office. So these are most of the risks that I identify. I think that there are many more that we can discuss around the table. I don't think that the list is exhaustive, but my purpose was to raise a little bit some conscience and think that if you are a manager and you just give money and you say, okay, I want security be done, but how you yourself use your phone, how yourself you use your computer is not secure, you are not doing anything. Because if I need the critical information, I will not take energy and pay millions to hackers to hack your company. I will just try to log in the same hotel with you, and then from the hotel we are just here, I try to hack your phone, because we are all connected to this network, which I think is 4 length password. Then I jump in your phone, I have everything that I need. But you spend all your money in your company, and then just in 1 or 2 minutes I can hack your phone, and you are the CEO, you are the CTO, you are a big a C-level in your company. I can have access to information that you never think about. And this is very critical, because at the end, the weakness of a cybersecurity program is the users. If the user do not know how to behave properly, the system is very useless. And in this case, with people working from home or anywhere in the world, and we trust their connection to our office, this is more critical, because the surface attack has grown tremendously. So I think if we want to address that, there are simple things or best practices that we have to do. I have no vendor solution here, just food for thought. So we all think about what we could do or what we need to think about when we are talking about best practices or mitigation approaches for cybersecurity. So the first one is mobile device management. When I say mobile device management, it's not only smartphone, it encompasses everything that the user can use from outside the company to jump into or inside the network. If it's cloud-based solution or whatever, you have to check on if the device of the users, not a company device, if a device of the user does not comply with certain policy, they might not be allowed to work or to do certain things. But this is, of course, the strategy of every company, because at the end, let's not forget that cybersecurity is not there to hinder business requirement, because we have business and then we see the risk. If we can accept the risk, we go forward. But at least we come from business requirement, and what are the risks? And we check the risk against our business requirement, and then we choose the solution that we want to enforce. So that is, we don't need to implement every solution every time, but always we have to make a balance between our business requirement and the risk analysis that we have done, and we make the decision. So, but all in all, we know that we need to make authentication for the device, full encryption device in case someone lost his phone or someone lost his computer, it will be very easy, or it will be very shameful that people can access the computer because it established a VPN, the user has not reported the loss, and it takes like maybe 2 or a whole day, even within an hours, you can already grab many information from the network depending on the privileged access of the user that lost the devices. So this is important. And then how to remote wiping the device from the company, and you need to have a policy in place, a drill in place when the user lost the devices, they know how to do it. Most of the time, I think the user does not care about cybersecurity until something happens. And they always think that it's the job of IT people, which is wrong, which is completely wrong. And someone gave the example earlier that cybersecurity are there to help and to say what can go wrong, and if something goes wrong, what we have to do. Because users always have the intention that they don't have a role to play, but actually they have all the role to play. And in your company, you have to make people aware about that, and this is very important. So device lockouts, screen locks, and all those things are very important. It happened a lot that people during meeting leave their computer without screen locked, or using very weak password, or do not have the right behavior when they tap the password, for instance. All those things need to be addressed properly from the onboarding of an employee and during the work of the employee, not just at the beginning and then forever. No, it has to be done and be reminded constantly. Second, that I think with password, LastPass who did a presentation also, I think password management is also very critical. How to make the job easier for user. I'm not here to say that LastPass is good and using a password is good. This is not my recommendation. The recommendation is having a strong mechanism in place that works for your company. And one of the things that could work, we know that if we only have one authentication system, it will not work. So at least we need many, and a strong one. And for that, there are many different things, and how you implement that also are very important. Just I gave some example here, and I would have given that also as a measure to do, but I put it as a nota bene because many people believe that biometrics are secure. I don't think so. Especially if you have watched many FBI movies, you will know that if someone touched something and I just come later on with a film stick, I can just take the fingerprint and use it. It will work. It will work. I don't have to cut your finger. I just need your fingerprint. So beware that all those things that are in place. So biometric are just used for flexibility to make it easier for you user to log in. They are not more secure than a long password. They are not more secure. Also, they can introduce privacy issues because how is your biometric authentication system built? Do you save all fingerprints somewhere, all retina things somewhere? How do you deal with it? So you also, as a cybersecurity manager, need to know how you deal with it, because those are private data and people who can access that or manipulate that need to know how they have to deal with. That's why I put that be careful with biometrics. They are not necessarily more secure, and they can also have privacy considerations. So another thing that I think is one of the most important but often looked out, why do all those phishing attacks works? It's because of the DNS going wrong somewhere, most of the thing, because URL is all about DNS, right? So if I can send you an email and the user is unable to see that this URL actually is not the URL I was looking for, but a fake one, most users are not aware. And sometimes also when I send you an email, or when you receive an email, you see that the name corresponds to a name that you know, or even the domain, like at world class, but I just changed this R in something that looks like an R. So you think that I receive a legitimate email from world class business, but it's not. It's another domain. For instance, Microsoft has put in place a system that will help user automatically detect when you receive an email. It will help you notice that this is not the domain of your company. And this is already helpful a lot. But there are many companies or there are many solutions that do not use it. That means it relies only on the user to be able to identify a fake URL from a legit URL. And this is difficult, and it's the beginning of many attacks. Have anyone heard about international domain names here? No? Yeah. Sorry? No, yeah, panic code, yeah. So, and with panic code, the DNS system so far was built on ASCII system. That means you can only use English, let's say, characters. If you want to have mention with umlaut in the URL, it doesn't work because it does not exist in English. So people have fought that, and now at ICANN, I'm co-chair of a working group of people who work like for almost 10 years now to allow any other country or any other script to write the URL, and then shifting this system. So what's happening now is you can have your script in Arabic, you can have your script in Chinese or whatever, and you can even have emoji in your URL, for instance. But giving the example of emojis, emojis can have a color, and the computer make a difference between level of colors, but the user does not. That means when two emojis are just slightly different in the grayscale, it's really two different URLs. But for a user, it's impossible for a user to identify that because it looks like it. And there are also, like in Cyrillic, E and the I that is used in Latin, they look alike, but in the ASCII code, there are two separate ASCII code. How can you rely on a user to know that this is not the URL that is required? So there are many examples of that regarding the use of URL that makes the job difficult for user to be able to identify fake URL from legit URL, but it's then for the company to put policies in place and then to train user afterward to be aware that there can be such things that happen, and if they do happen, if they are unsure what they do, because many times when people are unsure, either they do nothing or they take the risk. If they take the risk, it's too late. If they don't do nothing, it may happen to someone else. Okay, but if they just report it, it can prevent that to happen to someone who will take the risk. And this is something we need to think about. There are other solutions that exist as well. Cloud DNS, for instance. I don't know much about Microsoft Azure, but I know that for Google, they have many solutions that they can use to help users be protected from a DNS-based attack and so on. And but I only know about the solution that Microsoft Purdue have for emails protection system. So it's not very clear, so I will skip it, but I just wanted to show you a little bit the ICANN, let's say, architecture for dealing with DNS in general, and know that it's a multi-stakeholder environment. Anyone can participate. So the role of ICANN to ensure internet stability and to prevent DNS abuse is to include anybody. So any company today can just identify something that can go wrong with the DNS, report to ICANN, and request ICANN to set a working group on that. And if this is approved by many other companies, ICANN will take the issue serious and then launch a 4-year or a 5-year technical working group or study on that and find a solution that could just afterward be put to IANA or be written a request for comment, and then it will become a standard. So it's the same way how a DNSSEC protocol was implemented. So whenever you identify a new topic or something that can be, let's say, used for DNS abuse mitigation technique, you can contact ICANN, and there is a whole procedure for that. And then, technical engagement, coordination, trade, but basically only regarding the DNS system, not on your enterprise IT, the DNS, which is basically the first line of defense that you have as a company, especially if you operate your own, let's say, domain in your company. So the last thing, but for me, the most important, is the training of the user, because human risk is the most important. If you put 80% of the budget on the infrastructure of our company, but people work from home and do not know how to behave, then you have just wasted your money. So I do think that awareness and training are really, really important. 3 hours of training a year. And the hacker, when I was doing penetration testing, I took almost 5 years to be able to pass the OSCP exam. So look at that, and you are just counting on someone who just received 3 hours of cybersecurity awareness to be able to defend against me. It's really impossible. Of course, the objective is not to make every user cybersecurity expert, but to be aware, the most possible aware about what can go wrong. And the hackers, they do not sleep. So in the company, if we are sleeping, or if we are behaving as if we have to sleep, then we will not get through. Then second thing that is important for me is policies. Policies for both sides, policy for the employees, but also dissuasive measure, deterrent measure that will prevent attacker from attacking you. Because they know that if they do attack you, you can identify them, they are fined for that, and you have measure in place. But for users, it's remote policies. It can be in the contract, how people should work, but also how people should behave, how the environment should be, and maybe you can help them secure the environment or whatever. But this is let on every company based on the size of the company, based on the money they want to make, and based on the objective and the tolerable risk, what they want to do. So I think this is the end of my presentation, and I thank you for your attention, and let's discuss more later if you have any questions.